Hello students. So I'm back in the walk-in closet. As you all know that we are socially distanced right now, physically but not intellectually. So in the previous lecture, I was talking about, I explained you the theme, the central idea of the poem, an elementary school classroom in a slum. So we discussed the first stanza in that poem. So before starting the second stanza, I would like to share a very good thought with you of Sadhguru. I came across it some days back, and the thought said, an intelligent person knows that he is a fool. An intelligent person knows that he is a fool, but a fool does not know that he is a fool. But a fool does not know that he is a fool. The meaning of this thought is that a person who is intelligent, he knows that he is a fool. Fool in the sense means that he knows that I have many targets to achieve. I have a lot more to learn, because the road to learning is never ending. As we say that success is a journey, it's not a destination. In the same manner, the intelligent person also knows that there are many more things to learn, and there is the road to learning is never ending. But a fool does not know that he is a fool. But a fool becomes overconfident, and he thinks that he knows everything, and he does not realize that he is a fool. So I urge all my students to please take care of yourself, be inquisitive, be curious, be anxious, be eager to learn and shine in your life, right? I also, as I have shared with you the 4 principles of self-help, self-improvement, self-development, and self-care. I repeat, self-help. So number 2, self-improvement, self-development, and self-care. Because during this time, we need to display true patience by maintaining good attitude and keeping our spirits high. So with such thoughts, I would like to start today's lecture about on the poem An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, written by Stephen Spender. A brief recapitulation of the poem. So in stanza 1, before that, I would like to share again the central idea of the poem. Basically, in this poem, Stephen Spender has concentrated on the theme of social injustice and class inequalities, and through the example of this poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, through the example of slum children, he attacks those who are exploiting the weaker section of the society. Right, in the first stanza, the poet was describing the pathetic, the pitiful, the miserable condition of the children who are sitting in a classroom in a slum school. He described their faces. He described their faces like rootless weeds, how the hair was torn round their pallor. He described the children who were sitting in the class, that there was a tall girl with a weighed down head, there was a paper-seeming boy, there was another boy who had inherited a bone disease, and there was another sweet and young boy who was dreaming. Basically, they looked very weak and hungry. They were suffering from malnutrition, and the children who were sitting there, they seemed withered and lifeless, right? And the dull and the monotonous atmosphere in the classroom was unable to arrest their attention. Why? Because there was nobody to take care of those children or the classroom in that slum area. So we start with stanza 2. On sour cream walls. Donations. On sour cream walls. The word is sour. S-O-U-R. First, we need to understand what is the meaning of the word sour. Sour means something that is bitter, something that is khata, right? If you, for example, if I have to give you, like in the morning, I gave you the example of, like if we take if we take cream or something, and if we leave it for 1 or 2 days, and when it starts to get old, it becomes bitter, the color of that thing changes. It becomes off-white. It becomes yellowish. In the same manner, the poet is also describing the walls of the classroom to be sour. Sour here means dirty. Sour here means the color of the classroom is off-white or yellowish. It means that the classroom walls are not being taken care of. And what things are put on those walls? Donations, the items which are being donated by the rich people, the name of the rich people who have donated something or the other, and they have highlighted their names. Shakespeare's head, and there's on the other wall there is a picture or statue of Shakespeare. Cloudless at dawn. Cloudless at dawn. The meaning of dawn is in the morning. There's another picture of a morning sky which is shown cloudless. Civilized dooms riding all cities. Civilized dooms. It is generally estimated that the children who study in big cities or in the urban areas, they are civilized, they are more knowledgeable, they are more learned. So the poet is trying to show a contrast here, that like on the wall, the structures, dooms here means the structures, the civilized structures riding all cities, means there is a picture in which the big cities, dooms of big cities are represented, and through these structures the poet wants to represent the quality of life in those cities, means the quality of life which is led by those children who live in the cities. Belled flowery Tyrolese valley. Before explaining belled flowery, we need to understand what is Tyrolese valley. Please write down, children. Tyrolese valley is a valley or a region. A valley or region in Austrian Alpine province. In Austrian Alpine province. So the poet is saying that in belled flowery Tyrolese valley, means there is another picture in which the picture of Tyrolese valley is there, and it is belled flowery. It is adorned with flowers, it is decorated with flowers, it is having bells. All these things are there on the classroom walls. Open-handed map awarding the world its world. Open-handed map, and there is an open-handed map which is there in the classroom on the walls. Right? Awarding the world its world means the map basically represents the opportunities. I would not say exactly the opportunities. The map represents, like, what is the function of it? The map divides the world into different countries, right? Big or small. In the same manner, symbolically, it gives the children the whole world, and the children are actually the world for the country, means means you children, we all are what? We all are the future of our country, right? So the poet wants to say that through this map, the map is there, open-handed map is there, and it is awarding the world. Who are the world? The children. Awarding the world its world. It is trying to show the children the whole world. And yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, but for these children, what is their world? These windows. Why the poet is saying these windows? Because their life is confined within the four walls of their classroom, which is located in a slum, and not this map, their world. Means that map has got no significance for these children, where all their futures painted with a fog, and their entire future is painted with a fog. What is the meaning of fog? Fog simply means when something is blurred, when something is not clear. During the winter season, we are able to see that, right? So in the same manner, their entire future is not clear. They don't have any vision. Why they don't have any vision? Because they don't have any opportunities. Like in the morning, I shared you an example of the boy who was selling watermelon, right? And it was not his fault, but he was driven by the circumstances. In the same manner, these children living in a slum are also driven by the circumstances of the family, by the circumstances of their slum area, by the economic conditions whatsoever. So the entire future is painted with a fog. Fog of what? Hopelessness and hunger. Why hopelessness? Because they are hopeless. They are despair. They don't have any hopes. Why they don't have any hopes? Because they don't have any opportunities. There is nobody to show them the right way. And why hunger? Hunger means starvation, because they have to lead a life of hand to mouth, right? So fog of hopelessness and hunger. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, and their life is like a narrow street, like how in slum area or villages the streets are narrow, very small, very short. So their life has also become very narrow, means it is not full of opportunities, it is not widespread. sealed in with a lead sky, and their life is sealed in with a lead sky. Lead sky means darkened. Lead sky here basically denotes dark and dull sky, right? Far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words, and their life is far away from the rivers, capes. What are capes? Capes are basically the mountains. Capes are basically the mountains and stars of words. And for these children, these are just the illusion of the mind, whatever things are being depicted. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. So basically, the poet has tried to show that their world is painted with fog, fog of hopelessness and hunger, and their future is grim and uncertain. They don't have any certainty in their lives, and their life is sealed with a dark and dull sky, that is lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. So the poet says that their world is far away from the beautiful sight of the nature. Their actual world is far away from the rivers and the capes, and these things are only like the stars in the sky, which they cannot touch. So basically, in stanza 2, the poet describes the dirty classroom, the walls of the classroom, how they are pale and dirty, they are not being taken care of, and that when something is not being taken care of, it gives a unpleasant feeling. And what all things are depicted on the wall, like Shakespeare's head. One wall, it is cloudless at dawn, civilized dooms in the structures which are there in the city, one open-handed map, Tyrolese valley, and how the future of these children is uncertain and filled with uncertainty. So now here we go with stanza 3. Surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example. So now the poet is saying that the portrait, the picture of Shakespeare, which is there in the classroom wall, is wicked. Wicked here means meaningless, means the portrait, the statue of Shakespeare, the portrait of Shakespeare which is there in the classroom is meaningless for these children going to a slum school. And the map a bad example. Why the map is a bad example? Because for these children, their classroom is the whole world. For these children, their life is confined within the four walls of their classroom. Why Shakespeare's head is wicked? Because it is meaningless for the children. Why it is meaningless? Because there is also no quality education in the schools, in the slum area. And if there will be no quality education, so how will the children know who is Shakespeare? The children there will never learn about Shakespeare's work until and unless the school will have good teachers, the school will have proper amenities, like that. And why the map is a bad example? Because for these children, their classroom is the whole world, right? And their life is confined within the four walls of the classroom. There is no world beyond their poverty, beyond their hunger, beyond their hopelessness. Like I told you in the previous stanza, their life is covered, their future is painted with a fog of hopelessness and hunger. With ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. Now, the poet says, the beautiful world with its offerings, the beautiful world with its offerings, like the sun, the ships, and all other beautiful objects, the love and care, only tempt these children to steal it. Why? Tempt means to attract something, to make someone do something out of attraction or out of some momentary pleasure. Only tempt them to steal it. Why? Because these children cannot afford, these children cannot have these worldly things. Why? Because their life is confined within the four walls of their classroom. They do not have any opportunities to grow. For lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes. Cramped holes mean the small hutments, the small houses, and where they are living, they live in cramped holes, means the small hutments, and there is no end to their misery, means the house in which they live, it is like cramped, it is like jhopadpatti, it is like hutments, the houses, and there is no end to their misery, their problems, their poverty, their hopelessness, their hunger, their desperation. From fog to endless night, and their life is like from fog to endless light, means there is no end to their misery, means one cannot find a solution to their problems, means what, there is a perpetual state of gloom. Perpetual state of gloom means when one problem leads to some other problem, they cannot come out of it. It's like a vicious circle, means they have so many problems, they have so many they are lacking so many things, that these children life is full of misery, their children life is full of hunger, desperation, hopelessness, poverty, disparity, right? Next line. On their slag heap. First understand what is the meaning of slag heap. Slag heap means the stony waste matter, or you can simply in simple words you can say garbage. Basically in these lines, the body of these children is being compared to garbage. Their bodies look like garbage heaps, means it is not properly maintained. Maintained means it is not used to proper hygiene, it is not used to proper nutrition, it is not used to good upbringing. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones. And when you see these children, they are so thin, their skin is so thin that the bones are peeping out of their skin. When the bones peep out of somebody's skin, when a person is suffering from some malnutrition, or he's not eating well, or he's suffering from some disease. So the poet is describing, basically the poet is trying to intensify the state of poverty in which these children live, right? That their bodies look like garbage heaps, and they are so thin that their bones are peeping out of their skin, as if they are suffering from some malnutrition, as if they are suffering from some disease, right? And spectacles of steel with mended glass, and it looks like the children, whatever glasses they wear, they are cracked, and they look like broken pieces of a bottle. Spectacles of steel with mended glass, like bottle bits on stone. Spectacles of steel with mended glass means whatever spectacles, whatever glass they wear, it is out of the repaired material. It is out of somebody, means if somebody has thrown it, if somebody has given it, when it is out of use for the rich person, they get it repaired and they wear it like bottle bits on stone. And when you look at them, it looks like broken piece of a bottle. All of their time and space are foggy slum, the poet is saying, and all of their life, all of their time and space. Time and space means their life is being destroyed by the slum. All of their time and space are foggy slum, means they cannot get out of this, their problems. They cannot get out of their miseries. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. So blot their maps. Blot means something that is you can say kalank, yeah, ek dhabba, right? So blot their maps. So this slum is like a blot on their map. Map means the life. So this slum is like a blot on the life of these children with slums as big as a doom. Means the slum is like a blot on the life of these children, which is as big as a doom, on the maps of these children, on the life of these children, and they cannot come out of this, their perpetual state of gloom. So in stanza 3, the poet calls the portrait of the Shakespeare wicked. It starts with the line, the stanza 3 starts with, surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, means the poet calls a portrait of Shakespeare wicked. Why? Because it is meaningless for these children of the slum school. Why? Because there is no quality education in these schools, and the children here will never learn about Shakespeare's work. And the map is also a bad example. Why the map is also a bad example? Because for these children, this classroom is the whole world for them. Their life is confined within the four walls of the classroom. There is no world beyond their poverty, hunger, and hopelessness. And in the stanza 3, the poet has intensified their poverty by the fact that the glasses which these children wear are cracked. Again, I'm repeating, children, the glasses which these children wear are cracked, and it looks like broken pieces of a bottle. It looks like broken pieces of a bottle means as if they have got it repaired, or as if they are just using it just for the sense of tokenism, and their bodies also look like garbage heaps. Thank you. Happy learning.